Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Main Street America Small Business Digital Trainer Session. Main Street America is helping small business owners gain new skills through a team of digital marketing experts who provide free training to small business owners across the country. Today's session will be part 2 of Coach Your Team to Success. Today, you're going to learn how to be a good coach to your team using the GROW model and how to grow your team through giving feedback using the SBI Feedback Model. Now, in part 1, we learned why coaching is important. Now let's talk about how you can best coach your team to maximize their performance in their everyday tasks. A great model that we can use to begin coaching is the GROW model. This will help you work through a basic coaching framework when you're working with your team. Now, GROW is an acronym, and the G in GROW stands for goal you want. The R, reality of today. The O, options for action. And W, will take these steps. The GROW model can aid you in the natural evolution of a coaching conversation. And the key here is not to rush to the will or the action steps. If you recall from part 1, coaching is all about discovery. You should spend about 90% of your time in the goal, reality, and option space, really focusing in on the goal and reality. It's so rare for people to explore options aloud, to dream about their goals, and to explore the reality. Coaching is the time for this. Now, it's human tendency to rush to the solutions, to immediately find the problem and to fix it. But if you free yourself from this urge, you can truly help your team explore and grow on their own without a need to find the solution for them. In part 1, we learned the importance of open-ended questions and how open-ended questions lead to discovery. Here are some sample questions for the GROW coaching model that you might find helpful. We've broken out the different categories of the GROW coaching model and applied questions that can guide you in getting started with each phase of the model. So in the G, or the goal phase, some of the questions you could ask are, what is your goal? What is important for you? How can I help? What is on your mind? What are your innermost interests and needs? What does success look like for you? What is your ideal outcome? In the reality section, you could ask open-ended questions such as, what have you done so far? What's happening in the situation? How could you learn more? What do your colleagues say? How would you rank your priorities? And if your perspective is welcome, consider feedback on skills, accomplishments, reputation, strength, and weaknesses. And then in the O, or options section, some questions you could ask are, what are steps forward? What experiments could you try? What else? What else? What are some stretch assignments, big projects, or experiences? What are some networking options? Who are some mentors you could contact? And finally, the will. What is the next right step? What do you want to do? What is a good deadline for that? What resources would help? How can I help? What advocacy could help? What is a small step forward? How do you want us to monitor it? And how can we track progress? Now, remember, these are just sample questions. Allow your intuition to lead you to ask other open-ended questions that will lead you to greater discovery. Now, sometimes the best way to learn is simply to understand how concepts work in practice. Let's take a look at a common coaching example together. As a manager, you may have been faced with situations on your team where one member in particular, who was once a high performer, makes a total shift in their performance and overall demeanor. In our mock scenario, Angela is the owner of the local coffee shop. One of Angela's store managers, Claire, is displaying behavior that seems out of ordinary for her. Now, Angela has addressed these concerns in a more formal performance review, and Claire responded that she will try harder. Because not much has changed from those conversations, Angela decided to sit down with Claire for a coaching conversation. Angela chose a quiet, informal, private place to have the coaching conversation and greets Claire with a warm and welcoming smile. Now, coaching conversations should be designed to put the coachee at ease. The more comfortable they are, the more likely they are to open up about their challenges and goals. So let's look at some of the questions Angela may decide to ask Claire during the coaching session. So using the GROW model, Angela may start with asking Claire to discuss her goals and desires for her role. Through a series of questioning and active listening, Angela may learn that Claire actually just graduated from a part-time graduate school where she was studying marketing. She has a deep passion for design and would like to utilize those skills, but her demanding management role at the coffee shop doesn't allow for much extra time for creativity. Now, as Angela moves into the reality questions, she also learns that Claire is caring for an ill family member at home, and the hours that she keeps at the coffee shop make it difficult for her to juggle her personal duties. Sometimes she is late for work because she has to arrange for extra help at home, or she has to take her family member to doctor's visits. The stress of her home situation often carries over to her work and affects her mood with the baristas and the customers. For example, Angela has learned that some assumptions she made about Claire's performance issues were totally wrong. The concerns have everything to do with Claire's motivation for the type of work she's doing and a challenging personal situation. As Angela moves through the questions related to options and steps to move forward, she learns that Claire has some great ideas for marketing the coffee shop. Angela knows that her marketing is lacking and she really needs some extra support in this area. So together, Angela and Claire come up with a plan for Claire to do some marketing work for the coffee shop at home during the day so she can care for her ill family member. Angela also gives Claire the option to work more evening hours to give her more flexibility to be home for doctor's appointments. Angela and Claire commit to meeting every other week for more coaching to discuss her progress with the new responsibilities and any changes in her home life. Now, had the coaching conversation never taken place, Claire may have sought out a marketing position elsewhere, and Angela may have made the assumption about Claire's work ethics or focus when she's merely just stretched too thin due to caring for her family member in need. Coaching can help us creatively problem solve and to be a bit more human as well. Now, let's talk about when it's time to give feedback. This often goes hand in hand with coaching conversations. Hopefully, we've all been given feedback, and hopefully, we've also all given feedback. We know it's a positive thing intended to help us grow and develop. Yet when someone says those words, "I have some feedback for you," it can often be a fear-inducing phrase. My goal today is to help you begin to see what a gift feedback is and how you can begin to give that gift to each member of your team on a regular, consistent basis. Now, when you're giving feedback, Think about how you're presenting it. Avoid listing only areas that need improvement. It's really important to acknowledge that someone is doing well also. You also want to avoid the sandwiching feedback, saying one thing good, saying one thing bad, and then one thing good. People see right through that. You want to give a ratio of constructive and positive feedback of 5-1. That means you should be acknowledging your team's performance. And when you see good things, say so. And of course, when there's an opportunity to provide constructive feedback, always do so. We're going to review a framework for delivering feedback and helping you understand the best time and place to deliver this feedback to your team for maximum impact. Let's talk about feedback and the best way to deliver it. Have you ever heard the old adage, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? Well, approach is everything when it comes to feedback. If you deliver feedback in an ineffective way, it could have a negative impact on the morale of your team, their development, their trust in you, and their commitment to your company. This is where approach really matters. You need to find a style that works for you. But here's a framework we recommend to ensure your feedback is grounded, action-oriented, and truly aimed at developing your team and not criticizing them. Your feedback should always start with situation. Exactly when did you see this happening? You need to avoid the generalizations and you need to be as specific as possible. And then when you move on to the behavior you observed, what did they do or say? Lastly, and most importantly, is the impact. What's the impact of the behavior on, or in other words, what's the purpose of providing this feedback? Once you move through the framework, you can work with your team members to clarify any questions, create options, and agree on the next steps. So here are some examples of what the SBI framework looks like in action using the example of Angela's coffee shop from our case study. I encourage you to think about the kind of situation you may face as a manager in your business, startup, or workplace. So let's look at scenario A. The situation is when the store got busy during rush hour, you went above and beyond to accommodate the customer with special needs, which is the behavior. And then the impact was the customer later contacted management to show appreciation for how supported they felt. That is great positive feedback. Now let's look at scenario B. The same situation when the store got busy during rush hour. The behavior being addressed is you didn't perform or delegate an important cleaning protocol, like mopping up the spilled coffee on the floor. And the impact is it puts our customers and staff at risk. Now, this is meant to be a developmental, constructive feedback. And you can see how both scenarios cover the situation, very specifically, the behavior that was observed, and the impact that it had on the team, the customers, or your company. So in summary, get in the mindset for giving feedback. It is always positive because it shows you care about the success. Try using the steps. Remember, preparation is key. And be yourself, be authentic, and be honest. Adapt the conversation to your style and to your direct report style. Share more positive and motivational feedback, then developmental. Should really be in a 5-to-1 ratio. What this means is that when you see your team members, your employees doing something that's positive, say so in the moment, so that when you find the constructive feedback, you have the opportunity to give it, knowing that you've already given them some positive motivational feedback. Now, this model can help you coach your team to success, but the most important thing is that you're giving consistent, timely, and actionable feedback to your team on a consistent basis. This is not something you're doing only during performance reviews or each quarter. This should be in a consistent, ongoing basis. It's all in service of your team and therefore your company. Now, let's take some time to recap what we learned in part 2. We focused in on what it means to be a good coach and addressed how to coach using the GROW model: goal, reality, options, and will. And then we discussed how best to give feedback using the situation, behavioral, impact formula. Thank you for attending, and please check out our other training videos. And should you have questions or need personalized help for your business, you can use the QR code or the website on this slide to schedule a one-on-one session with one of our digital trainers. Thank you so much for attending.